little bit further back, though. I don't know if you want to give that a try or not. Horner, we've seen on all of his PATs so far, they've been a little bit low. He's had some distance, though, so we know he can kick it that far. This would be about a 34-yarder. Be curious to see what he does here right now.
I don't know if he's – well, it looks as though he's got his quarterback right there, too, so he's talking to Cachopo. But on the far side of the field, the receiver out there is Richard Truong. He's got a little bit of speed, 5'10". Also a guy who, Steve, you said his name a couple times, Lucas Jungman, who's a receiver out there. He's been in the slot. He's 6'1", so – they've been trying to utilize him a little bit to get him on the seam, and they're bringing out the offense. So let's see if they try to look at one of those two options. Or you can even try to do that screenplay where they had him curl right around.
And here we go. We are now live, so we're coming to you live from Edmonds Stadium. If you haven't been with us, we're experiencing some technical difficulties earlier, not only with the camera but with my voice just now. And we will have this game up online later on, so if you need to go back and watch the first quarter, and if you're a Lynnwood fan, we think you'll like what you've seen, as Lynnwood has already forced 3 Shorecrest turnovers, and they consequently have a 14-0 lead right now. 2 touchdowns so far by Andrew Katzenberger. One was an 80-yard run on the second play of the game. Katzenberger then punched it in from a short distance out later on in the quarter to make it 14-0. Lynnwood threatening again, however, they are now looking at a 4th and goal from the 17-yard line. And rather than try to kick for the field goal, they're going to go for it here, apparently, as they've got their offense still on the field. And that is where we stand right now with 1:36 to go here in the first quarter of play. Lynnwood 14, Shorecrest 0. And here come the Royals one more time. Justin Cachopo playing quarterback. He's going to have Katzenberger behind him. Off to the right, we've got Richard Trung as well as number 21, Carson Horner. Youngman and Graham out to the left. Let's see what they do here. Cachopo rolls to the left. He throws it into the end zone. Youngman's open. Touchdown, Royals! Cachopo finding Lucas Youngman in the back of the end zone. And with 1:29 to go here in the first quarter, Lynnwood 20, Shorecrest 0.
Great play call by Bankhead. Just get a sprint out on the left side with the quarterback, Cachopo. The corner out there, number 7, Preve for Shorecrest, had his eyes at the quarterback the entire time. That allowed Youngman to get it behind him. Threw the pass a little bit too far ahead. He didn't necessarily have to do that, but Youngman got both feet in bounds, and they were able to call it a touchdown.
And Horner with the PAT. The snap was high. The kick is up. And he punches it on through, and Lynnwood pulling away right now. 1:29 to go here in the first quarter. They lead 21-0. We're going to take a quick break. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
And we are back again. Steve Willits and Steve McGrain, the Steve and Steve show today. Actually, it's the Lynnwood Royals show right now. 3 touchdowns here in the first quarter. 21-0, the Royals leading the Scots. And we've mentioned it already a few different times here, Steve. Nothing but turnover issues happening for Shorecrest this year in the first quarter. Turned the ball over 5 times last week against Sultan in the first period. They've done it already 3 times today, and they trail 21-0. Horner kicks that one off. It lands at the 13-yard line. It's taken by number 24, Dayton Fox. Fox finds a little bit of space. He's still on his feet. One of the best plays we've seen from Shorecrest here in the first quarter. Returns that one 23 yards to the 36-yard line, and that is where the Scots will take over for their 4th possession of the game.
By far the best kick return the Scots have had in this first quarter. Best field position off of the kick return, so let's see if they can finally put something together. Especially don't turn the football over with 1:20 left in the first quarter. Try to hand the football off to Busey again, try to get something going, or even Weaver. See if he can actually get on track with one of those receivers.
Brigham Weaver getting his first start of the season here today. It's been a rough go so far. He's had a couple of fumbles and an interception. Finds his receiver out in the flat, but nothing happening there. That was number 10, Brantley Harris. We mentioned him earlier. Harris was ineligible to play last week, getting his first action of the season today. A player they really need desperately to get this offense going. He was an all-league caliber of player last year. Catches his first ball of the day. Unfortunately, it goes backwards 5 yards, and that's going to bring up a 2nd and 15.
Wasn't a bad idea. Just throw it out to Harris's, see if he can catch it and make a play. But the slot receiver out there, Race Treat, just couldn't lay the block on Horner. He was able to fight through it and make the tackle for the loss.
If you're going to bubble screen, you need your receivers to block, and they didn't get one that time. Weaver takes the snap, rolls out to his left, continues to look downfield, now has to scramble to his right a little bit, finds a little bit of space, basically brought down by his own player there as he ran into one of his linemen. Nothing happening at that point, so he loses about 4 yards. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 19 with 20 seconds to go in the quarter.
Tough go thus far for Weaver out there, quarterback. Sprint out to the left side, and when he stopped to try to find one of those receivers, if you look downfield, they were just standing there with defenders right in front of him. He had nowhere to go, no passing lane to throw to, and it ended up for another loss of 3.
Clock showing 2 seconds. Let's see if they get the snap off. They do. This is the last play of the quarter. Weaver looking for something, does not find much as he tries to throw a pass, a little screen pass to Busey. Busey not able to catch it. Katzenberger nails him right away, and that brings up a 4th and 18, and that is the end of the first quarter. Still, apparently we have a penalty flag down, so we need to figure out what this is all about. It is a holding penalty against Shorecrest. I would imagine Lynnwood will decline that. And they, in fact, do. And now we have come to the end of the first quarter. And it has been all Lynnwood here in the first period. At the end of one, Lynnwood 21, Shorecrest 0. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
People assume quality car insurance has to cost more. People assume too much. The truth is, drivers who switched to Allstate last year saved money and got better protection. So get the facts. Because you know what they say about people who assume. They pay more for car insurance than you and me.
The Allstate Insurance Agency of Jeff Smar is a proud sponsor of Wesco Athletics. Located in Northwest Bothell, Jeff's office services many areas including Lynnwood, Edmonds, Bothell, and Mill Creek. Contact Jeff for a quote at 425-949-7103 or email jeffsmar@allstate.com. One quarter of play is in the books here from Edmond Stadium. Lynnwood 21, Shorecrest 0. And Steve McGrain, we're looking at some of these stats here. Lynnwood winning the offensive battle right now in yardage, 122-17. Should also mention Shorecrest has 3 turnovers, so when you're not getting yards and you're turning the ball over, it's pretty much a recipe for disaster. And Shorecrest for the second week in a row in a huge hole here in the first quarter.
Well, and also, Steve, you look up there in 7 minutes of time of possession for Lynnwood versus 2 minutes for Shorecrest. So when Lynnwood gets the ball, they're holding on to it. When Shorecrest has the football, they're getting a turnover or not holding on to it for very long.
Yeah, Lynnwood has run 17 offensive plays so far to Shorecrest's 12. Part of the reason is Lynnwood's punching the ball in pretty quickly, either on long runs. We saw the Katzenberger 80-yard run early in the game, and then since then, both of their 2 possessions that they've scored on, they didn't have to go very far as the turnovers gave them excellent field position. Punt hits right in front of number 13. Trun is going to finally field it at the 35-yard line. It's a 37-yard punt, and fortunately for Lynnwood, that ball just missed hitting Andrew Warren, number 13. As he was down there blocking on the play, and ball bounced off the turf. Trun wisely grabbed it, returned it for about 3 yards, and Lynnwood will start over. We'll get the first possession of the second quarter at their own 38-yard line, already leading 21-0.
Let's see if they try to open up the playbook, do a couple more passing plays with Cachopo, because since they have so much field to work with going from left to right, or you got Katzenberger on the sideline, I mean, they're up by 3 touchdowns. I don't know how much we'll see their workhorse the rest of the football game. We got Dapis out there running back, but let's see if they do some pass plays.
Yeah, Katzenberger, 5 carries for 88 yards, 80 of which came in one play. Dapis is going to take the handoff, and he is swarmed immediately behind the line of scrimmage. That was number 34, Tyreek Jones, making the tackle. Should give Jones a little bit of credit, too. He's been in on a few of those plays so far when Lynnwood has made stops behind the line of scrimmage. One of the few bright spots for the Scots here early on.
The near side of that offensive line, the right guard and center, just couldn't handle Jones as he broke free, shot the gap, timed it perfectly, and was able to bring down Dapis for a loss of 4.
Dapis still in the backfield, and as you mentioned, Steve, I think we might see a lot of him here in the second quarter. 21-0 lead, and we get a false start here as number 65, Craig Knock, pulling off just a little bit early there at the right tackle position. And I hate to do that because the linemen seem to only get called when they get penalties called against them. And in reality, give Lynnwood a lot of credit. Those linemen have been busting some nice holes open early here in the game. So, Knock, we're going to call you out this time, but we know you've had a great game so far. And sorry about that, but we've got to do our job, right?
Well, and that's back-to-back times. They let Jones through the last time on the offensive line, so that was a knock on them. And then they just
no
had
pun intended, right?
Yes. And then now you have the false start.
So Craig Knock getting called on that one. Cachopo in shotgun formation. Horner goes in motion. 2nd and 19 for the Royals. Cachopo looks to throw it. He gets Tron on the. Tron has nothing but room. Nice slant play, and he is going to go all the way. Touchdown Royals. Richard Trun with a 71-yard touchdown reception. Very simple play. He ran a 10-yard slant, timed it perfectly, caught that ball, broke past the first tackler, and had nothing but space. And Lynnwood with a 27-0 lead.
Just a simple slant route, as you mentioned it, Steve, on the near side of the field. And some guys, they just have that extra burst of speed. He hit it, wide open field. Meep goes a Roadrunner, and he was gone for a touchdown.
Trun's second touchdown of the season. We mentioned it earlier. In the 6-0 victory over Stanwood last week, he was the only player to score. It's a little bit shorter last week. It was about a 4-yard gain when he scored that touchdown. This time he had to keep himself running a little bit further. 71 yards. Horner with the kick. It is up. It is good. And with 10:41 showing here on the game clock in the second quarter, Lynnwood 28, Shorecrest 0. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Welcome to Northwest Best, brought to you by Smart Service Subaru. Here's your host, Mike Halsey.
We're back at the Red Onion in Mount Lake Terrace, and I'm with the owner, Sean, and the food here is absolutely terrific. The burgers are made with 100% beef, made to order with fresh ingredients. And you're involved in a lot of community projects.
Yes, Mike, we are. With the help of our loyal customers, we're able to give back to our community. Such as we take 100 kids shopping with cops and join us for our terrific Tuesday fundraisers. Join us
at Red Onion Burgers.
And thank you for watching.
And here we go, back to action. A squib kick as Shorecrest feels it at the 31-yard line and finding some room along the right-hand side is number 7, Ian Preve. He's finally tackled at the 46-yard line. Make that the 45 after a gain of 14 yards. And Shorecrest with the ball at their own 45-yard line. Shorecrest with the ball at their own 45-yard line.
28-0 early on in the second quarter, Steve, and kind of what you want to see from Shorecrest right now is try to get some sort of rhythm on offense, whether it's Weaver turning around, handing the football off to number 4, Dayton Fox, or try to get on page with one of his receivers. Just try to get something going here in the first half.
Weaver looking at trips to the left. He hands it off, however, and finding a little bit of space up the middle there is number 24. That's Dayton Fox. Running off of right tackle there. He gained about 2 yards on the play, and will bring up a 2nd and 8 for the Scots as they are still looking to cross midfield for the first time today. Early second quarter, they trail 28-0. Trips left. Weaver takes the snap. Hands off one more time to Fox. This time finds a little bit of room on the right-hand side. A fumble on the play. So they scramble for it as both teams seem to think that they have it. And Shorecrest, in fact, does. So almost another turnover there for the Scots as they still are looking to get over midfield for the first time today.
If you're running back and you're going through the line of scrimmage, kind of down in the trenches, you have to realize that some of those guys are going to start trying to strip the football. If you're carrying it with one arm, you're more susceptible to that happening. But if you cover it up with two and tuck it into your gut, it's not as easy for them to strip, and you can keep on driving your legs, pick up extra yards.
And we've got an injury on the field. That's Dayton Fox, number 24. He's being attended to right now by one of his coaches. We're going to take a quick break. Your score here from Edmond Stadium, Lynnwood 28, Shorecrest 0. You are watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Are you a whiz in filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
And we are back again at Edmond Stadium. 3rd and 7 coming up for Shorecrest. Weaver takes the snap, looking downfield. He's going deep on this one. Intended receiver number 3 cannot quite make the catch. That was Race Treat. Treat being guarded by number 22, Bobby Graham. Ball falls to the turf, and that will bring up a 4th and 7 for the Scots. And Steve, if you are Shorecrest right now, down 28-0, you're at midfield. Do you perhaps try to go for it here?
Yeah, keep on trying to do the same thing. Maybe kind of get a crossing pattern on the far side receivers to try to mix up.
And they are not going to go for it as Aubrey Victor is back into punt. 9:27 to go here in the second quarter. Not sure if they ever gave that one much consideration or not. We have whistles now, however. And if this one's against Lynnwood, that would bring up a 4th and 2. Might make for an interesting call here if you're Coach Christensen. Referees conferring right now. And that is, in fact, going to be called on the defense. Substitution infraction against the Royals. And now you've got a 4th and 2. You're on the other side of midfield for the first time all day. And yet they still have the punt team on.
You are at 4th and 2, and they're going to call a timeout. They might be discussing what we're thinking about up here. It is 4th and 2. You are on the Lynnwood 45, but you don't know that offensive line. You don't know how they'll be able to block against that defensive line.
So they've got a decision to make. We're going to take a quick timeout. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
And we are back again here live at Edmond Stadium. Shorecrest trailing the Lynnwood Royals 28-0. However, they've crossed midfield for the first time today, and they've made a bit of a decision here. They have elected to go for it. 4th and 2 from the Lynnwood Royals 47-yard line. Weaver under center right now. He's got 2 backs in the backfield this time, a formation we have yet to see today. Going to hand off and try to pound it up the middle, and they apparently are going to come up just a bit short, as that's number 34, Tyree Jones, trying to carry for the first down. Gets tripped up maybe about a half of a yard short, and once again, Lynnwood takes over possession.
Not a bad idea to try to go up there and pick up the 2 yards, but the biggest question that I had up here, and Steve, you also mentioned it when we went to that quick break, could the offensive line hold off the defensive line and get up to the second level at the linebackers? They were unable to, only picked up about a yard, turnover on downs, the ball's going back to Lynnwood.
So 9:22 to go here in the first half. Lynnwood taking over at their own 46-yard line. Cachopo remaining in at quarterback. He's going to hand off. That's Dappas. Found a little bit of room briefly, but not for long, as number 53, Jake Smotherman, wraps him up. First time we've called Smotherman's name today, which is a little bit of a surprise because they lost last week 42-28, but Smotherman in the loss had 16 solo tackles. Not a bad play for not a bad game for a defensive player, and they're going to need him to step up big time here if they're going to get back in this game.
Middle linebacker did a nice job of just holding up Dappas right when he went past the line of scrimmage, holding him up, waiting for his friends to come along with him until they brought him all down for a tackle.
So the Royals looking at 2nd and 9 right now. Cachopo once again in shotgun formation. Throws the bubble screen out to the right. Horner's got the pass. Horner's got the sideline. He's still running to the 30, the 20. It's going to be a foot race. Touchdown Royals. Number 21, Carson Horner, with his first touchdown of the season. A 53-yard gain. However, there is a flag in the backfield. This play might be coming back.
Great play call. More than anything, you have the slot Horner come around and get the bubble screen, You had the outside receiver come down, make a block, and he held it forever. The only way that the safety could come around was to go under the block as opposed to over the top. Well, right when he did that, Horner went to the outside and used the sideline to his advantage and ran all the way for a touchdown pending this penalty.
And the fact that both teams are now back at midfield tells me this is going to be against Lynnwood. Sorry, Carson Horner. We thought you had your first touchdown of the year. That would have gone along nicely with the 4 PATs that he kicked earlier in the game. Unfortunately, Carson's still looking for his first points of the year. Did not quite catch what that penalty was.
On a positive note, though, besides the penalty,
and besides the fact they're up 28-0,
excellent execution on that play, and the defense played right into their hands, and it turned just great execution all the way around.
So one of the few things that have gone right today for the Scots, as they were about to go down by 35 points there. Again, we apologize. We did not catch what the penalty was there. I didn't see it unless you did, Steve.
I think it might have been a holding in the backfield or something along those lines. But besides that, I don't think it would have been a holding on the receiver on the far near side of the field that sprung Horner free. I don't think it was there. I think it was more towards the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that penalty flag was thrown right in the middle of the field in the backfield, so I think you might be right there. It was right about where you would normally call holding. Cachopo fires to the left this time. Incomplete. Ball was intended for number 22, Bobby Graham. Thrown a little bit behind him, and Jake Oliver, number 11, able to get his hands on that one. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 14.
I don't even know if Cachopo had his eyes on the receiver when he just got the snap. I think he kind of just looked over there and kind of assumed that the receiver would be wide open. Nice job by the 2 defenders on the far side of the field for Shorecrest to stick with him. Number 82, Yakovich, for Shorecrest. A nice job of staying with the receiver on his curl route, or the slant route, and just kind of an assumption pass by Cachopo.
Speaking of assumption, we're assuming Lynnwood's going to throw here. 3rd and 14 at their own 42-yard line. Clock showing 8:23 to go in the second quarter. 4 receivers set, 2 to each side. Cachopo rolling to his right, looks downfield, pump fakes once. Now he's going to throw deep. He's got a man wide open, and the ball is complete at the 25-yard line. Touchdown Royals. Lawton Manapun with his first catch of the season. and it is for 58 yards and a touchdown. Lynnwood not only converting on 3rd and 14 for the first down, they go the distance, and they now lead 34-0.
Did a couple games last year for Cachopo, and just to see his progression from then to now is absolutely amazing. I don't know if he necessarily could have thrown that pass last year or even had the maturity to do the rollout to the right side, see that Manapon was open downfield, and reset his feet so that he could get all of everything that he had on that pass. Could have let him, didn't though, but Manapon caught it and ran away for a touchdown. Great job by the quarterback to just settle down, set his feet, and then deliver the football on target.
Porter gets that one up and not quite through as the snap was a little bit high. One of the few things that has not gone right for Lynnwood, a 34-0 lead here with 8:11 to go. And yeah, just to get back to what you just said, Cachopo, night and day from last year, and we've even heard Coach Bankhead refer to the fact that he's so much better from where he was last year, and just the maturity. And you even saw it on the rollout there, the pump fake, knowing that he didn't have the initial look that he wanted, and having the patience and the maturity to wait it out and let Manapon sneak by the defenders and then throw the ball down the field. Showing a lot of poise for a senior quarterback there.
Yeah, and you just met, everything he did on that play was perfect. And just to go back to last year, I honestly, last year he only really threw the ball maybe 10, 15 yards downfield. Obviously he's gotten a lot stronger. He's built up that shoulder a little bit so that he can deliver those far strikes downfield. But yeah, night and day, like you just said, Steve, from last year's quarterback to this year.
So Lynnwood with a 34-0 lead right now, and there's still 8:11 to go in the second quarter. We are one touchdown away from the mercy rule, which the high school level in Washington State, if a team gets up by 40 points, they do a running clock after that. In theory, that it gets the game over quicker and does not enable the team that has the most points to keep accumulating that many more to really make it look bad. And we're almost there, and we're not even to halftime yet.
That's a nice thing for Lynnwood fans, but that may not be as nice for Shorecrest too. I want to see what they are able to do. They, as you mentioned last week, they had a little bit of trouble at the quarterback position. They brought in Weaver. Let's see if he can put something together.
Number 10, Harris, returning this ball, takes it on about the 15 and gets stacked up at the 21-yard line. A 6-yard return. Alton Hammond, one of the players in on the tackle, had a little bit of help there as well from, I believe that was number 57 on the play. And, of course, as I look on my roster, there is no number 57, so we'll assume he is actually on the team. He's got a jersey and shoulder pads and everything else, but not on the roster. But, hey, number 57, nice play. So Shorecrest back on the field one more time, and they've switched quarterbacks now. Tristan Sanchez, the starting quarterback last week, getting his first action of the day with 8:03 to go here in the second quarter. Sanchez lines up under center, hands it off, and getting forward and finding some room as well as a first down. That's number 8, Marcus Osborne, the fullback. Osborne picking up 12 yards, gets only the second first down of the game for Shorecrest.
And when you bring back in your starting quarterback, there's a reason for that. Everybody's on the same page. The cadence is the exact same. And right there, the offensive line got off the ball quick, and it turned into a nice, solid production of about 11 and 12 yards.
Sanchez, a 5'9", 140-pound senior, flips that ball out to the right-hand side where number 34 carries the ball. That's Tyree Jones. Jones trying to find some room off of right tackle. Dives forward for a gain of about a yard, maybe 2. Call it a second and long 8 for Shorecrest.
Jones is a big running back, 6'1", 215. So Andrew Katzenberger is not necessarily the smallest player out there either at 6'2", 220. But if you have a guy who's got some size running at you, carrying the football, best way to tackle him is go right down on his legs, and that's what he did, and it brought Jones down not far after past the line of scrimmage.
So Sanchez taking the snap one more time. Floats back about 8 yards, throws a screen pass out to the left-hand side, and tackled on the play by 2 different players. That's Katzenberger and Hammond, making the tackle on number 8, Marcus Osborne.
Excellent job of those 2 linebackers. Katzenberger's middle linebacker, Hammond's the outside linebacker, flying to the football and making sure that they got the loss of 3 yards, on that play for Shorecrest. Katzenberger, offense, defense, the kid is a football player all the way around, an exceptional athlete.
So 3rd and 12 coming up. Oh, by the way, number 57, who we made reference to a couple plays ago, Aaron Riles, so we'll give him a little shout out. Sanchez throwing deep, and Sanchez throwing short as he's hit in the backfield by Lucas Youngman. Pass was intended for number 22, that's Aubrey Victor. We mentioned it comes up way short. That's going to bring up a 4th and 12. And that's going to bring the punter back onto the field one more time. I shouldn't say bring him onto the field. He was already out there as he was the intended receiver. Aubrey Victor having to run back to the line of scrimmage and then drop back 15 yards as he prepares to punt. Here comes the kick, a very nice one at that. Kicks it over to the sideline there and gets a great bounce. And let's see where they finally spot this one out. They are going to say that one stopped or went out of bounds at the 15-yard line, a 52-yard punt for Victor. And with 6:12 to go, Lynnwood will take over at their own 15-yard line. We're going to take a quick break. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit.
And we are back again at Edmonds Stadium. Lynnwood snapping the ball there. However, a few of the offensive linemen lunging forward before the ball was snapped. No, I take that back. They're going to actually say Shorecrest moved before the snap. And Shorecrest continuing to help the Royals' cause and giving them free yardage. So we're going to tack on 5 yards on that play and give Lynnwood a 1st and 5 at their own 20-yard line. Not that they needed the additional help. They're already up 34-0.
And I don't know how much this might contribute to the rest of the game. Carson Horner just came off of the field hobbling and holding onto his ankle. Now he's on the bench as the trainers are tending to him.
Cachopo sending Youngman in motion. Youngman moving from right to left. Cachopo is going to throw it out in the flat. Incomplete as he overthrows to Kevin Wynn. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 5, and I certainly don't mean to make fun of Carson Horner at all. We hope that he's okay. But as far as contributing to the outcome of the game, I don't know if it's going to quite come down to that at this point. But at any rate, we certainly hope he's okay as they attend to him here. And might be even a cramp issue as they're lifting up his leg on that bench right now. Certainly hope he's all right. I know as an announcer I'm supposed to make it sound like they're still in the game and it's going to be interesting and we're going to see the biggest comeback ever in the second half. But at this point, I'm not sure that it's going to be the case. As Lynnwood and Shorecrest both just working on their games at this point, and Shorecrest working on their defense and doing it rather nicely on that play as they stop Katzenberger in the backfield. Loss of about 4 yards, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and 9.
Kason Salvati, the center right there for Lynnwood, had 2 defenders blitzing right there. Tried to decide which one to pick up, ended up not picking anybody. Dropped Katzenberger back for a little bit of a loss of a yard, but if you're the center and you got 2 guys blitzing you, just pick one. Maybe he might knock the other guy into your guard and get some help in that regard, but don't not pick anybody and let 2 guys blitz through.
So the clock showing 5:23 to go here in the second quarter. Lynnwood looking at a 3rd and 9. Whistles blowing all over the place. We're going to get a delay of game called against Lynnwood, and that's going to push them back to their own 11-yard line.
It's nice that they started out that first quarter and then about halfway through this second quarter playing great fundamental football, staying disciplined. I mean, utilizing all aspects of the game to the best of their ability. And now you have the loss of a yard right there with Katzenberger, and then you have this penalty. This is not what Keontae Bakehead wants out of his football team. Keep on playing well and try to drive this football down the field.
Lynnwood has already scored 3 touchdowns over 50 yards. Let's see if they can get another one here. 3rd and 14 on the 11. They fire the ball downfield. Trun making the catch, and he finally is pushed out of bounds at the 29-yard line. A gain of 18 and another Royals first down.
Strong kind of went upfield and then kind of just sat there while number 22, Bobby Graham of Lynnwood, the outside receiver, was kind of doing a deep post. They had number 23, Lottawa, the safety for Shorecrest back there, and once he saw Graham come, he kind of dropped back, which left Trong wide open for the pass and the reception.
Cachopo back in shotgun formation. 5:09 to go here in the half. Drops back, looking downfield, finally tucks it away and is going to run for it. And is not going to get very far as he got to the 25-yard line. And unfortunately for Justin, I'm not sure that was the decision he wanted to make. He should have just gone out of bounds and pulled up, and he's lucky he didn't get hurt there. As number 53, that's Jake Smotherman in on the tackle there, a loss of 4. And I take that back. They're going to give him, I thought they were going to give him forward progress, spotting him back on the 23-yard line. So that's going to be a loss of 6 on the play.
Nice job of feeling the pressure as he drops back, running it upfield, try to make something out of nothing. But if you're about to also get hit by a defender, don't kind of run away and kind of lose some yardage. Take the hit and try to keep on progressing as they're going from left to right, downfield. Just keep on getting in positive yards. Don't shy away from contact.
Lynnwood back at the line of scrimmage. 4:18 to go here in the half. 2nd and 16 coming up. Cachopo takes the snap. This time he rolls out to his right. Looking downfield, he's going to fire back to the left side of the field, and incomplete. Ball was intended for number 22, Bobby Graham, on the play, and we have a penalty flag down deep in the defensive backfield.
And I don't know if he thought number 11, Jake Oliver made contact a little too early for the pass interference, but that's the only penalty I can really see out there.
A few Shorecrest players seem to be a little bit disgusted back there in the backfield, as they seem to think it's going to be called against them, and we await the call from the referees.
Well, once again, Steve, I'm amazed with the arm strength of Cachopo from last year to this year going into a senior year. Just, as we've mentioned it before, night and day, and it looks like they're going to be able to pick up this penalty.
Yeah, that was a 2nd and 16. With the ball hitting the turf, it would have been a 3rd and 16. Personal foul is going to give them a automatic first down on the play. I stand corrected. That does not equate to an automatic first down. It's going to give them a 2nd and 1 on the play. See Wynn going in motion right now. We've got trips to the right. Cachopo takes the snap, rolls out to that right side, skips the ball to Wynn, bounces in front of him and then past him, incomplete. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 1 for the Royals.
Another guy going down with cramps right now, Steve.
Lucas Youngman.
Not a bad idea to do the sprint out to the right side and kind of hit your second option, but let it develop a little bit. You had Youngman, even though he's laying on the turf right now with the cramp, you had him wide open downfield. We saw him with the man upon touchdown. We threw it down there. He reset his feet, had enough time and delivered the perfect pass. Could have done that exact same thing right there, but not everything's going to be perfect when you play a football game, and that time he just needed to settle down.
3rd and 1 on the 38-yard line. Lynnwood looking for another first down. 4:01 left in the quarter. Pitch out to Hammond. Let's see what he can do. And he is stacked up in the backfield. Might have lost 7 or 8 yards on that play. Alton Hammond looking for some room around the right side. Unfortunately for him, there were defenders waiting for him really right from the second he touched that football.
Well, the defensive end working on the right tackle, Craig Knock, just tried to do a pass rush upfield, try to close down the pocket. Well, next thing he knew, Alton Hammond was right in front of him, so Knock wasn't really in the best position, and then Hammond kind of ran right to the outside linebacker defensive end who was blitzing.
This is something we haven't seen very often today. For the second time now, a Carson Horner punt coming up. And with 3:20 to go here in the first half, Lynnwood apparently didn't have the right personnel on the field, and they're going to use a timeout. We'll take a quick break. You are watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Welcome to Northwest Best, brought to you by Smart Service Subaru. Here's your host, Mike Halsey.
We're back at the Red Onion in Mountlake Terrace, and I'm with the owner, Sean, and the food here is absolutely terrific. The burgers are made with 100% beef, made to order with fresh ingredients. And you're involved in a lot of community projects.
Yes, Mike, we are. With the help of our loyal customers, we're able to give back to our community. Such as we take 100 kids shopping with cops and join us for our terrific Tuesday fundraisers. Join us
at Red Onion Burger.
And thank you for watching.
And welcome back to Edmond Stadium. 3:20 to go here in the first half. It is all Lynnwood at this point, 34-0. I say all Lynnwood, but here we are watching them in punt formation for one of the few times today. So they're about ready to give the ball back to the Scots. Horner gets off the kick. Penalty flags fly. Not one of his better kicks as it goes out of bounds at the 38-yard line. Fielded nicely by Lucas Youngman, who's on his back over there, still trying to get up from those cramps that he's feeling right now. And I guess you always have to have your head on a swivel when you're on a football field, right? And Youngman, good reaction by him as he fielded that ball rather cleanly.
Oh, one-handed too. The left arm was kind of stuck it in there against his body. See what this penalty is.
Illegal procedure against Lynnwood. See if they accept that one or not. It was not a great punt. It only went 28 yards with no return. If I'm Shorecrest, I might just take the ball right there. That's the 39-yard line, but again, we'll see what they decide to do.
Looks like they're going to give their punt returner kind of an opportunity to field this punt and try to make, well, hopefully you get, they would have had the ball, Steve, what, around about the
39-yard line, I think is where it went out, yeah.
So see if you can get further downfield.
See if he can kick this one past Youngman this time. Youngman, by the way, back on his feet now, so that's a good sign. Continues to stretch out that cramp. And, yeah, it is a hot day out there. It's early in the season. These 5 o'clock starts can be kind of tricky. I guess they did. Shorecrest made the right move there as that ball is not snapped very cleanly back to Horner. Had trouble coming up with it and just barely got the kick off. A 9-yard punt. And Shorecrest, with their best field position of the entire day right now, they're going to be at the Lynnwood 35-yard line with 3:06 to go here in the half.
And once again, Tristan Sanchez is out there, quarterback. Let's see if he can put something together with their best field position of this first half. As you mentioned, Steve, try to get something going. Maybe try to hand it back off to the running back, see if you can break something through up the middle, or try to get something going out of that passing game and just try to get some flow within this offense.
Yeah, Sanchez coming back onto the field, his second possession of the game as quarterback. I mentioned earlier he was the starter last week. Started this game on the bench. Sanchez looking downfield, fires it over the middle, incomplete. Ball was intended for Ian Preve. Fired maybe a little bit too hard for Preve and a little bit behind him as well. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 10.
Well, I don't know if Sanchez, he had the 2 receivers on the outside wide open, and they were doing post patterns, and the safeties kind of sat there, but if you would have delivered it perfect timing, they would have had an option to catch it and maybe make a move to try to get around or at least catch it and then immediately get hit with the football. I just don't know if he trusts his offensive lineman to give him the time.
Sanchez throws that one incomplete as well down the right-hand side. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 10. Hey, with 2:55 to go here in the quarter, I want to remind everybody to stick around at halftime. We will have our Action Jackson Plumbing halftime show. We're going to have a special guest, Dave Golden, the principal at Lynnwood High School, join us. Get Dave's thoughts on this game so far as the Lynnwood Royals looking like they're going to win their 4th game in a row going back to last year. Not bad seeing that they had lost 8 games prior to that in a row. And Royals getting themselves on track, and we'll see what his thoughts are on the game and how the school year's going. And maybe talk to him a little bit about the student body here as the Lynnwood Royals, the fans have come out in droves tonight. This is a good crowd.
Get that well, it's, as you mentioned, it's looking like a 4-game winning streak going, extending from last year. Everybody's coming out to support, and he's got to be pleased with the way that these kids are playing for his high school right now.
Yeah, the last time we were able to interview Dave during a sporting event was during the basketball playoffs, the girls' playoffs. The girls going and finishing 3rd in state last year. So sports on the up and up at Lynnwood High School, and we'll get Dave's thoughts on that. Sanchez back to pass, looking towards the end zone. Picked off. That's Graham. Takes it on the 8-yard line and has some room and is finally dragged down at the 30-yard line. Bobby Graham just playing your basic center field position there at the safety spot. Just waited for that ball to come right to him. Picks it off and returns it to the 30.
Once again, happy feet kind of from Tristan Sanchez out there at the quarterback position. Tried throwing it out to the receiver, number 22, Aubrey Victor, 6'3", 175 pounds. Massive target. He just threw it a little bit too far into the inside of the football field, right where the safety was settled. He basically threw it right to him. Bobby Graham, he was able to return it back for a nice little pickup after the interception.
So 2:45 to go here in the half. Lynnwood already with a 34-0 lead. And they have the ball once again. Dappas takes the handoff, jumps over one of his players lying on the ground. Doesn't get very far, however. Might have picked up about a half of a yard on the play. It's going to bring up a 2nd and long for the Royals.
Smotherman right there once again. Middle linebacker was able to bring him down. First one to make contact and hold him only for a 1-yard pickup.
Lynnwood fans making some noise. You might be able to hear that on the microphone. I think I counted 22 cheerleaders for the Royals earlier, so a nice turnout for them this year. Getting the fans going right now, and I don't think it's too hard to get them cheering when they're up 34-0 in the first half. Dappas looking for more. He finds some space out to the left and is dragged down by number 23, who's holding on for dear life. That is Luke Lodawa. Lodawa just grabbed the back of his jersey and watched him get dragged there by Dappas for another yard or two. Saw his body just kind of dragging along the ground there. Looked like something out of a Western movie where the guy's holding the rope behind the horses. Lodawa just held on until he was finally able to get some help, and Dappas only able to come up with a couple of yards because of it.
Not a bad idea by Dappas. It looked like the football play the execution was supposed to go between the left tackle and left guard, maybe even the tight end out there on the far side of the field. Tried to extend it, but nobody was able to get up to that second level where the linebackers are, and it was easy for them to flow with the football and then bring down Dappas for only a 2-yard pickup.
So Cachopo looking at shotgun formation one more time, 3rd and 7. Looking downfield, pump fakes a couple times and finally throws the ball up. Lucas Youngman has it go off his hands, and those cramps are still bothering him as he is in a lot of pain right now. He hits the ground hard, and immediately the training staff coming out to tend to him. As those cramps don't go away that easy sometimes, do they?
No, they hang around the rest of the football game. But in a little bit of spacing problem right there on the near side of the field with that kind of an X route. They were trying to kind of confuse the corner hanging out with Terong on the near side of the field. They tried to do that. He easily broke off, I believe it was Weaver, and picked up Youngman, who the pass was intended for, but he broke it up.
So Youngman finally able to get up. He's going to try to hobble his way off. It is 4th and 7 coming up for Lynnwood with 1:09 to go, and Youngman this time able to jog off on his own.
Need to give him some pickle juice.
I have a feeling he'll be drinking some pickle juice, or what else is it? Mustard, I guess,
Mustard,
is
yeah.
another good one for cramps, or just loading him up with some Gatorade there at the half and seeing if he can't get rid of that, because that is not a fun feeling, folks. If you've never had cramping issues with your legs, best advice to stay away from it if you can. So Horner back on to punt. Got Katzenberger blocking for him back there. They bring Hammond onto the field as well. Lynnwood better get this ball off here in a moment, or they might get called for delay of game. Snap is finally off. Comes the rush, and Horner gets off a much better kick this time. This ball lands at the 40-yard line and takes somewhat of a Shorecrest bounce as it goes back to the 41 where it is finally stopped. It's a 26-yard punt, and with 59 seconds to go here in the quarter, or in the half rather, we'll just keep it right here as Shorecrest still looking to get on the board. They're trailing 34-0 here at Edmund Stadium, where the Lynnwood Royals are just dominating this first half of play.
Once again, just try to get something going, try to get a nice play up the middle, or even try to bounce it outside, get a pulling guard. They have yet to do that in this first half of the football game, or try to air it out. Just try to now get Sanchez settled down in there and try to hit one of his targets. As we mentioned last time, Aubrey Victor, a 6'3" receiver.
And Weaver has come back in for the back into quarterback. So as soon as we start talking about Sanchez, they make another quarterback change. Weaver looking downfield. He's throwing deep down the right-hand sideline. Is the ball caught? Incomplete, as that was intended for Brantley Harris. Almost made a very nice play on the sideline there as he got the foot down. Just wasn't quite able to hold on to it. That's going to bring up a 2nd and 10.
Excellent play by Bobby Graham as well. The safety coming over, utilizing the sideline as an extra defender, keeping that spacing tight between him and the receiver. Weaver didn't have much of a target to throw to, as he really was just forced out to the sideline and ultimately tried to catch it out of bounds.
Want to remind everybody once again to stick around for halftime as well. Our Action Jackson Plumbing halftime show. Dave Golden, the principal of the Lynnwood Royals, is up here with us, and looks like he's pretty happy today. I've got to think he's enjoying being on the other side of a 34-0 game. As Weaver gets flushed out, he finally finds room to run to the left. still running and puts his shoulder down and barrels over one player. That was Kevin Wynn as he finally gets forward to the 47-yard line. A gain of 12 yards and a first down for Brigham Weaver as he's able to make something out of nothing.
Katzenberger timing up the snap immediately in the backfield right when it got into the hands of Weaver. And Weaver, as we mentioned before, was a wide receiver. He is athletic, and he displayed it right there, running off to the left, picking up a first down.
Weaver takes the snap, looks to his left. He's got plenty of time this time. He's going deep. Incomplete. He was intending that one for number 22, Aubrey Victor. And Richard Tron on the play, defending it rather nicely, sticks his hand out there and bats it down. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 10 with 26 seconds to go here in the half.
Victor 6'3", Trong 5'11". Trong went up and knocked the football away at its highest point away from the wide receiver. And as you just said, bring it up a 2nd and 10.
So ball at the 47-yard line. Weaver takes the snap, goes forward, finally decides to go and run for it. Finds a little bit of space before he's finally brought down by Katzenberger. Going to give him a gain of about 5 on the play and give Brigham Weaver some credit as he continues to run hard and took a pretty good look on that play, but he's up and back in the huddle, and we're going to get a quick timeout here with 19 seconds to go in the half. 4-yard gain for Weaver.
Offensive line just not giving him much time, and the defensive line and linebackers for Lynnwood are doing an excellent job of filling the lanes if he decides to run, so he's not able to pick up very many yards.
We'll take another quick timeout here. We'll be back in 30 seconds. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
And we are back here at Edmonds Stadium. 19 seconds to go here in the half. 3rd and 6 for Shorecrest. They're at the Lynnwood 43-yard line. Weaver rolling out to his right, looking down the field. Finally throws it back into the middle of the field. The ball is complete. Caught at the 30-yard line and still running until he's finally brought down at the 14-yard line. That is Jake Oliver. A gain of 29 yards on the play. 6 seconds to go. There is a flag down on the field as we await to see what the call is. Referees are walking backwards right now. Again, only 6 seconds showing on the clock. There might be time for maybe 2 plays if you throw a quick play out to the outside of the field. More than likely, this is your last play of the half coming up, though.
As we wait for the call on the penalty, look for them to try to utilize Aubrey Victor. We've said his name a couple of times throughout this broadcast in the first half. He's a 6'3" target, so he's going to be taller than the majority of the kids out there on the field. Try to throw it up in the air, try to get a lob pass, get it into the end zone, and so you at least give your main target a chance.
Okay, 6 seconds to go. They wave off the penalty, so it's spotted at the 13-yard line. Not sure Shorecrest has any timeouts left, so they're going to spot it, and they will need to snap it rather quickly with only 6 seconds showing on that clock. Weaver under center takes the snap with 3 seconds and spikes it. So with 2 seconds to go in the half, Shorecrest is going to be able to come up with something as they are 13 yards away from potentially their first score of the game.
And we're talking about snap the football and try to just throw it in the end zone and get something. Nice heads-up play by Weaver to spike it, stop the clock, see your football team back there in the huddle and try to get them settled down and kind of realize this is the last play before half. It's kind of play to the best of your ability and see if we can get a touchdown before going in the locker room.
So Harris and Oliver lined up to the left. We've got Aubrey lined up to the left. They're going to go to the right-hand side. Ball is, I believe they're going to call it an interception. What are they going to say? They're going to say that was, in fact, an interception. Number 21, Carson Horner, coming up with it. And that ends the first half of play with your score. Lynnwood 34, Shorecrest 0. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will have the principal at Lynnwood High School, Dave Golden, join us on the Action Jackson Plumbing halftime show. You are watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
People assume quality car insurance has to cost more. People assume too much. The truth is, drivers who switched to Allstate last year saved money and got better protection. So get the facts, because you know what they say about people who assume. They pay more for car insurance than you and me.
The Allstate Insurance Agency of Jeff Smar is a proud sponsor of Wesco Athletics. Located in Northwest Bothell, Jeff's office services many areas including Lynnwood, Edmonds, Bothell, and Mill Creek. Contact Jeff for a quote at 425-949-7103 or email jeffsmar@allstate.com. And we are back again at Edmonds Stadium with our halftime score. The Lynnwood Royals 34, the Shorecrest Scots 0. This gentleman standing next to me is very pleased with that score. This is Dave Golden, the principal at Lynnwood High School. And Dave, you've been the principal here for 15 years. You've seen some rough patches with the football team over time. This is the team that has a chance, going back to last year, to win its 4th game in a row tonight. It's kind of fun when they're up 34-0, isn't it?
Yeah. As far as Lynnwood football, we have had some tough times. This is kind of an unusual place for us, but we're very happy that we reached it, I'll tell you.
And Coach Bankhead doing a nice job with these kids this year.
Yeah, he is a wonderful coach, gets along well with the kids. He's a father figure to some of them. He's got a lot of good discipline on the team, and I think the players are responding very, very well to him.
Yeah, they're responding very well tonight with 5 touchdowns in the first half. And as I mentioned earlier, dominating this first half. It's not even that close right now. And they have yet to give up a point this year. They had the shutout last week against Stanwood.
Well, they're playing very aggressively and playing smart, and we're really happy with the way the season's going so far. But we've got a lot of tough games ahead, so we're enjoying it while it lasts.
Indeed, and hey, it's a fun time to be involved with Lynnwood sports in general. Last time you and I talked, we were down at the Tacoma Dome. Mm-hmm. Not very many folks get to do that, and your girls finished in 3rd down there, and other sports going well. Good times in Lynnwood.
Yeah, I think it's we've got some great coaches, and those things come in cycles. Sometimes you get in a downward cycle, and things go that way. But it seems like we're in an upward cycle, and then the more you win, the more kids want to come out for the team, and then the stronger the team gets, and you can cycle up. And it seems like that's the way we're headed right now.
Yeah, definitely in a positive cycle right now. And we should also talk about some of the things that are going on away from the fields. Mm-hmm. In the school. Second week just in the books now?
Yep. We got off to a good start. Everything, we're a little up in enrollment, which is a good thing. We've got a few more kids than we had planned, but we're leveling out classes. Off to a good start. It seems like everybody's settled in. The seniors are providing some good leadership, and our freshman class is working their way into learning how to be a Royal.
And I've got to ask you, too, having gone over to that school a few times, very different from where you guys were before. That's a gorgeous campus, and it's a gorgeous school all around. I went out to the football practice a couple weeks ago, and I told Coach Bankhead, I can't imagine there's too many more picturesque places to practice in the state of Washington, really. I mean, it's a great field.
Yeah, a great field, great building. It's won some architectural awards, our building, actually. It's a situation where the taxpayers of Edmonds School District have been good enough to pass bonds, building bonds, so that we feel that we've used that money wisely, because they're now, they've ripped down the old Lynnwood High School, and they're beginning to build a Costco there, and that's going to create some revenue for the district. Costco is actually leasing the land, so we're going to start getting revenue from that, so we're going to be able to improve some other buildings around the district. So it's really a good situation with the Edmonds taxpayers providing us some really great support.
So it's a win-win all around. And I've got to think one of the other positives, I'm an old Mount Lake Terrace guy myself from 20 years back, more than 20 years. And I know I had a lot of friends that went to Lynnwood back in the day, and I used to always hear stories of the Lynnwood kids sneaking off of campus and going across the street to the Alderwood Mall. A little bit tougher to get to the mall now, isn't it?
It certainly is. We don't get many complaints from the mall anymore.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was going to ask you as well, kickoff assembly the other day, how did that go?
It was great. A lot of spirit. Lynnwood has traditionally been one of the most spirited schools in Western Washington, and boy, they showed it today. We had our opening welcome back assembly, and it was spirited, organized. The freshmen did a great job. They're learning the ropes and learning how to be a spirited group, and we're really excited about the year ahead.
Well, your football team's doing great. It sounds like you're having a lot of fun at the school right now. Kids have been wonderful so far. Hopefully they'll continue to be that way. And sounds like big things happening over at Lynnwood High School for 2014-2015.
Well, we're really looking forward to the year ahead. We've got a great crowd here, great parents and great kids, great band too. So we're excited about the year ahead.
Yeah, a lot of positives happening at Lynnwood High School right now, and this guy here has a lot to do with that. So Dave Golden, thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming on. We're going to take a quick break right now. We'll get back to the second half of action here shortly. Again, 34-0 lead for these guys. You're watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
People assume quality car insurance has to cost more. People assume too much. The truth is, drivers who switched to Allstate last year saved money and got better protection. So get the facts, because you know what they say about people who assume. They pay more for car insurance than you and me.
The Allstate Insurance Agency of Jeff Smar is a proud sponsor of Wesco Athletics. Located in Northwest Bothell, Jeff's office services many areas including Lynnwood, Edmonds, Bothell, and Mill Creek. Contact Jeff for a quote at 425-949-7103 or email jeffsmar@allstate.com.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
And we are back again, Edmonds Stadium. Your Action Jackson Plumbing halftime score, Lynnwood 34, Shorecrest 0. Steve, you and I have our work cut out for us to keep people entertained in the second half. I hope you can dance and sing a little bit. But then again, you never know. It's there's a reason why you play the entire game. Shorecrest could get going a little bit. They fell behind 32 points last week and only lost by 14, so we'll see what's in store for us come the third quarter here in a few minutes. But until then, let's look at some stats here right now. And no big surprise here. It's all Lynnwood right now. Total yards in the first half, 256 to 80.
256 yards. A lot of that is yards after the catch. Just Cachopo getting out into a playmaker's hands and extending it there. And then a large part of that as well is that Katzenberger, that second play of the game that he ran for the 80-yard touchdown.
Yeah, Cachopo with 192 yards of passing, and a lot of that is yak yardage. It's yards after catch. But a lot of it's Cachopo just creating on his own, and we've mentioned that time and time again over the last 2 weeks, watching him mature rather nicely and to watch him roll out. And Coach Bankhead mentioned this before the game that he wanted to have him roll out a little bit, and he tends to be strong in that point, and he's showing it today.
Yeah, he displayed it, especially on that touchdown pass to Manapon. Rolled out, checked all of his options, realized that his tight end got behind the safety out there, had some time, reset his feet so that he can put everything into that pass, and he did, hitting him right in the numbers as he turned away. Threw it a little short, so he had to come back and stop his momentum from going down the field. Didn't lead him in stride, but nevertheless, he still caught it and ran away for a touchdown.
That's been the big difference, too. You look at the rushing yards, and they're not that much different. Lynnwood, 13 carries for 64 yards, and they had, when you consider that they had 80 yards on their first or second carry of the game, so they've lost 16 since then, a lot of those quarterback sacks and whatnot. So they've got 64 yards of total rushing yards, Shorecrest with 54, so there's not that much of a discrepancy there. Then you get to the passing yards, it's 192 to 26, but maybe the most glaring stat right now, the turnover stat, Shorecrest turning the ball over 5 times in the first half.
Yeah, and especially just keep on going with the quarterbacks. You got touchdowns, you got 3 for Cachopo, and then on the other side for Shorecrest, you got Weaver and Sanchez, who don't have any touchdown passes, obviously, but they got the 3 interceptions. So that's a glaring fact. And then time of possession, Lynnwood's holding on to the football, and Shorecrest is just doing too many turnovers, as you mentioned, 5, 3 in the first quarter, 2 in the second quarter, and that's just not giving them any rhythm throughout this football game.
Yeah, looking at some of the individual statistics, Justin Cachopo, not quite as on as he was last week in terms of completion percentage. He's only 8 for 18. Last week he was 17 for 24, so he's already thrown more incompletions in the first half than he threw all of last week. However, he's already surpassed his yardage total from last week. So 8 for 18, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns. We go down to the rushing yards, and again, there's not a lot there other than that one play. Katzenberger has 2 touchdowns. He's got a total of 84 yards. But again, 80 of that coming on one play, and it was a big one, though, wasn't it?
Oh, it was massive. That's what really got the ball rolling in Lynnwood's favor. That kind of set the precedent of what was going to happen throughout this game, and then the turnovers came into effect for Shorecrest. But that one run off to the left side got the whole entire team pumped up and it got them ready to football. It was kind of that first initial burst.
And just looking at the receiving stats, we mentioned Cachopo, 8 completions. He's found 5 different receivers so far. Nobody with more than 2 catches. Trung has 2 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown. Lawton Manapun, 1 catch, but it was a big one, 58 yards. Lucas Youngman, 2 catches for 22 yards and a touchdown, one of which coming on 4th and long in the back of the end zone. And he did a nice job to get his feet down. Alton Hammond has a 21-yard catch. I believe that was a screen pass. And then Carson Horner, 2 catches for only 2 yards, but still getting his work in there as well. So, again, nice distribution by Cachopo to find different receivers and getting multiple players involved. Looking on the defensive side of things, no big surprise here is Andrew Katzenberger leading the team with 5.5 tackles, 5 of which are solo.
Yeah, he's done a great job in middle linebackers position. Katzenberger and Hammond, the 2 guys at the anchor on the defensive side, flowing with the football, and then if it's trying to come right at them, running in between the tackles, nice job of filling the gaps and getting in there for losses.
And, yeah, just looking at other things here, we've got interceptions by Hammond, by Graham, and by Horner. So 3 picks for the Lynnwood Royals. And those 3 picks have been crucial in them keeping the shutout going so far. And, hey, by the way, before we get done looking at stats, I want to give a huge shout-out to Conrad Youngman, father of Lucas. He is the stat keeper over here for Lynnwood, and he's done a nice job of keeping us posted and updated as to what's going on, and certainly makes it a lot more interesting and makes our jobs a lot easier by giving us these stats. So, Conrad, thank you very much. I don't know if he's listening over there right now or not, but we appreciate what he's doing for us, and we'll continue to do so. And we're going to take another quick break right now. We're about 2 minutes away from getting the third quarter started. Once again, you are watching the Action Jackson Plumbing halftime show right here on the Sound Live Sports Network.
Are you a whiz in filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
People assume quality car insurance has to cost more. People assume too much. The truth is, drivers who switched to Allstate last year saved money and got better protection. So get the facts, because you know what they say about people who assume. They pay more for car insurance than you and me.
The Allstate Insurance Agency of Jeff Smar is a proud sponsor of Wesco Athletics. Located in Northwest Bothell, Jeff's office services many areas including Lynnwood, Edmonds, Bothell, and Mill Creek. Contact Jeff for a quote at 425-949-7103 or email jeffsmar@allstate.com. And we are just about ready for the second half of action. Steve Willits along with Steve McGrain watching the Lynnwood Royals just dismantle the Shorecrest Scots 34-0 in the first half. The sun's still up there, and it's getting a little bit bright up here, isn't it, Steve, as you're fighting to see the field right now? I guess that's a good problem to have. Last year during one of these broadcasts, we had a game in which we could not see the second half because of fog. I think I'll take the sun over the fog.
Yeah, the only difficulty is going to be trying to see these players' numbers down there on the field. This glare is fantastic at the moment.
I have a little bit of an advantage over you right now. I have speakers that are blocking it for me for the time being. I'm sure in about 2 minutes it'll change, but needless to say, we're going to be broadcasting regardless as to where that sun is, and we're going to be broadcasting the second half of action to see if Shorecrest can get a little something going. We mentioned it before, Shorecrest fell way behind Sultan last week before mounting a little bit of a comeback in the second half. They'd given up 32 points in the first quarter of that game. The final score was Sultan winning 42-28. So we know that Shorecrest can get something going here in the second half. They've done it before. I don't know if it's going to be enough to win this ball game, though, with a 34-point deficit, but it would be nice if they at least made it interesting and perhaps can maybe find a little momentum for themselves going into next week, as they need to get ready for action. They get Sammamish next week at home at Shoreline Stadium. And I should also mention this is Shorecrest's only game that they're going to play this year at Edmonds Stadium, as the other three Edmonds School District teams will visit them at Shoreline Stadium, which means this is the last time we'll have them on the Sound Live Sports Network this year. And if you're Shorecrest, maybe that's a good thing right now.
Yeah, hopefully in the second half they can kind of get some progression going on offense, get a flow. We don't know if it's going to be Weaver or Sanchez at quarterback.
Or somebody else.
You never know. They could bring in the third string. It looks like that could be Jake Oliver. but try to get something going within their offense, get a flow with the receivers, get the snap down correctly. Just try to get something going. If anything, Steve, I would kind of like to see Tristan Sanchez, who started last week, come back in. If he didn't start this game, but someone who they're familiar with, be out there on offense.
Well, they're going to find out pretty quickly as they're going to get the ball first. Being cut down at the 26-yard line. That was number 11 on the return, Jake Oliver. Nice play by Mike Kirkman, the sophomore, making an arm tackle there as he just stuck his arm out and clotheslined his leg almost. Kirkman getting Oliver down to the turf very quickly. And Shorecrest comes on to the field on offense for the first time this half.
And it looks like it is going to be Weaver in there at the quarterback to start this thing out.
So we'll see what Brigham Weaver can do here. She mentioned before he played the majority of the first half at quarterback, was pulled out for a while for Sanchez. Sanchez had 2 series before Weaver came back on at the end of the half. Weaver's going to look downfield right off the bat, looking down for his receiver, number 7. That was Ian Preve. Ball was just a little bit short and in front of him. Falls to the turf, incomplete, and that will bring up a 2nd and 10 for Shorecrest.
Nice job by Weaver to look for his progressions. He looked to the left side of the field, saw it wasn't open, or he didn't like what he did see, went back to the right side. He had a receiver on a post and threw it, but it just fell incomplete.
So Brigham Weaver in shotgun formation one more time. He has number 34, Jones, in the backfield with him. Jones lining up just off of his right shoulder. So Oliver goes in motion. He's going to hand off to Jones. Jones not finding much running room as he is wrapped up almost immediately in the backfield. Might have even lost a yard on the play, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and long for the Scots.
The right tackle for the Scots right there did a combo down block on the defensive tackle with the right guard, leaving the defensive end wide open. And defensive end has either the quarterback or running back responsibilities. It depends upon the way that the defense likes to scheme things. That time he stayed home and only picked up a minimal gain for the runner.
Weaver taking off running this time as he didn't see much open initially and finally is brought down at the 32-yard line, a gain of 5. Once again, number 34, Kirkman, in on the play, makes the tackle, and that's going to bring up a 4th, and we'll call it a 5 right now for the Scots.
Not the way that the Scots wanted to start this second half on the opening drive. Lynnwood's going to get the football back, and let's see if I believe they punted the last time they had the football at the end of the first half. Let's see if they can get something going again.
Aubrey Victor in punt formation, a little bit high as the snap. He finally gets a hold of it and gets off a booming kick. Nice punt by Victor. Unfortunately, doesn't get a very good bounce. It finally lands at the 35-yard line. Takes a Lynnwood bounce back to the 41. So he's only going to get a 27-yard punt on the play. Make that a 26-yard punt as they now spot it at the 42-yard line. And Lynnwood already with a 34-0 lead. They get good field position here to start off their second half.
Yeah, and with them being up 34-0, I wonder how much more we're going to see of Cachopo or even number 44 out there. Lucas Youngman. So let's see how long these guys continue to play, or even the workhorse Katzenberger in the backfield.
Youngman and Graham lined out to the left. Trung, one of the receivers on the right, trying to make out who the other one is there in the slot as we can't see it. That's Horner. Cachopo gets sacked down at the 31-yard line. And, Steve, that goes back to what you were just talking about. You've got a 34-point lead. Your starting quarterback just got creamed in the backfield there. You have to kind of wonder now, at what point do they pull him out and just save him for next week?
Yeah, Tyree Jones was the middle linebacker blitzing on the left side of the offensive line. And I don't think Katzenberger was supposed to be a rollout to the left side, and Katzenberger might have had his eyes towards the sideline as opposed to back in where his quarterback was behind him, and he just completely missed Jones, who came on the blitz.
So 2nd and 8 coming up, or 2nd and 18 rather, coming up, the 34-yard line. Cachopo takes the snap, it's a little bit high. Katzenberger takes the ball off of the left-hand side, barrels over a couple of different guys before finally being brought down at the 39-yard line. Only a gain of 5, but that was a hard-fought 5 yards at that as Katzenberger using his strength and his size to barrel over guys on that play.
It's a nice job by the offensive line to give their runner an open gap to run through right there at the line of scrimmage. But then once he gets past that, he needs people down there at the second level where the linebackers and outside linebackers are, so you can extend something even further. And so there's one man left at the safety position that you can kind of juke around. But they need to be able to get past the first level, which they are doing, up to the second.
3rd and 14 coming up for the Royals. Cachopo has Dapis in the backfield with him. Shotgun formation. Rolls out to his right, looks down the field, throws the ball. It's complete to Youngman. Youngman getting ahead to the 46-yard line. A gain of 12 and a late flag coming up there. Youngman was going to be about 4 yards short of the first down. We'll see what this flag is. It was after the play, so I believe we're going to get a personal foul of some sort called on one of these players. It's just a matter of which team it's called on.
I think it's me, Youngman. He jumped up and spiked the football because he's a little frustrated at himself for just kind of taking the hit and falling down to the turf. So I think it's being unsportsmanlike conduct on him.
And one of the coaches talking to Youngman on the sideline right now. I believe you're correct. As we mentioned, it may not be too big of a factor there in that I think they were going to be punting either way.
Oh, they called delay of game on Youngman.
Which is better than a personal foul. It's only 5 yards instead of the 15. Nonetheless, Lynnwood will be bringing on the punt team as Horner drops back into punt formation with 9:22 to go here in the third quarter. Clock now running once again. 4th and 9. The ball is snapped over Horner's head. Let's see if he can get a good bounce. Nobody around him yet. Picks it up at the 9-yard line. Decides not to kick it and is going to try to run along the left-hand side and is brought down at the 19-yard line. A loss of 23 yards for Lynnwood on the play. And, Steve, if I'm Horner, I think I would have just picked that one up at the 9 and tried to kick it. However, he might have panicked a little bit there and tried to run for it. And consequently, Shorecrest in great field position.
Try to make something out of nothing off the high snap. He's got to get that down if you're the long snapper. That's sometimes you just keep the center in there, and that's kind of his primary job throughout the entire football game. Snapped it a little high, but probably the best field position for the Scots thus far in this football game. Let's see if they can take advantage of it.
Certainly their best starting position. They did get down inside the 10-yard line or inside the 13-yard line to end the half. Ball is fumbled immediately. That was Weaver who could not come up with it, and Lynnwood gets their 6th turnover of the game. And I was just about to point out the fact that Lynnwood has now gone 6 quarters without giving up a single point all season long. Thought that streak might be in jeopardy there for a brief moment. However, Katzenberger, big surprise, comes up with the fumble recovery, and Lynnwood is back in business one more time.
Seems as though whenever through the progression of this football game, whenever something bad has happened to Lynnwood, they've only had 3 turnovers, besides the
6 turnovers for the game, yeah.
For Lynnwood?
Oh, Shorecrest has turned the ball over 6 times.
Oh, I believe Lynnwood, I don't think they actually have it all. But whenever something bad has happened, they've had the defenders like Katzenberger come up and make a play so that they can get the football back on offense.
Yeah, Cachopo hands it off to Katzenberger. Katzenberger puts his shoulder down, gets forward for a gain of about 2. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 8. I think unofficially we have Lynnwood down for 1 turnover. The last one was a turnover on downs, so not an actual turnover per se. However, it might as well have been when you lose 23 yards when you're in punt formation. But that's the second time now we've seen back-to-back turnovers on snaps from both teams, one turning it over to the other and then the other one giving the ball right back. And anytime you come up with a big play like that, the last thing you want to do is give it back to that other team at the very next play. Something that both teams might want to work on before next week is just snapping the ball back to their quarterbacks. Cachopo's going to scramble on this play. Gets forward for a gain of about 1 yard. I don't know if that was an intended draw or not. He dropped back about 1 foot and thought he saw an opening there in the line and went for it, but unfortunately for him, it closed up rather quickly, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and 7.
With tackles against the defensive lineman, the defensive end rushed upfield, leaving the wide open hole between the right guard and the right tackle, and that's where the linebacker came, forcing Cachopo to step up into the pocket and ultimately trying to run. But that's why they typically do a lot of sprint outs, is so that if your offensive line doesn't have to block for as long.
And we've got a timeout here. We'll take a quick break. You are watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Welcome to Northwest Best, brought to you by Smart Service Subaru. Here's your host, Mike Halsey.
We're back at the Red Onion in Mountlake Terrace, and I'm with the owner, Sean, and the food here is absolutely terrific. The burgers are made with 100% beef, made to order with fresh ingredients. And you're involved in a lot of community projects.
Yes, Mike, we are. With the help of our loyal customers, we're able to give back to our community. Such as we take 100 kids shopping with cops and join us for our terrific Tuesday fundraisers. Join us
at Red Onion Burger.
And thank you for watching.
And here we go once again. Lynnwood coming out of the timeout. 3rd and 6 at their own 23-yard line. Cachopo takes the snap, rolls out to his right. He's got a man wide open, complete. Making the cut and still on his feet is Alton Hammond. Hammond fighting his way forward to the 49-yard line, where he's finally brought down. Hammond, the sophomore, picking up a 26-yard gain. Nice pass by Cachopo and nice play by Hammond.
Well, we just saw the last play. He tried to just do a simple drop back. Didn't have much time with the offensive line blocking. So the best way that you can do that and utilize your quarterback is to get him on the outside. Nice job by Cachopo to square his hips and hit Hammond, get it out to his hands, so give it to a playmaker and he can make a play.
So Cachopo now up near midfield. He takes the snap, looks over to the left this time, fires it over to Graham, who makes the catch and is finally brought down at the 38-yard line. A gain of 13 yards, and the Royals are moving the chains here in the third quarter.
Great timing right there by Cachopo. 3-step drop, look out to Graham on the far side of the field, just doing a slant route. Hit him perfectly as he was coming right out of his cut, and the defender was just about 2 yards behind him. He was ultimately able to bring him down, but not before he caught onto the football.
Lynnwood still rolling with their first string. Got Wynn and Hammond lined up to the right-hand side here. Cachopo drops back, throws it over the middle. Intercepted. That's Oliver with the pick. Penalty flags are down. Oliver still running. Jukes Katzenberger and is finally brought down by a big hit by number 58, Joe McKay. McKay just put his shoulder down and barreled over Oliver. Oliver, however, picking up about 20 yards on the return. Depending on this penalty, Shorecrest might have the ball in Lynnwood territory.
The first turnover by Cachopo in this game, and first interception. Let's see what the penalty is.
Personal foul against Lynnwood, so that's going to give Shorecrest even better position.
He was looking for Hammond again, just kind of going across the middle, and I don't think he saw Oliver sitting there at the free safety position and tried to just lob it over him, able to catch it and return it back, and now they're going to get the football on the Lynnwood side of the 50.
So apparently it's a personal foul call, but you're able to decline that. You don't get. I would have thought they would have gotten 15 yards on top. Referees gave us the decline sign. So it might have happened before that. So Shorecrest still on the side of the field, just not quite as far down. And they're still looking for their first points of this game. And Lynnwood still holding on to that streak of 6 scoreless quarters, trying to make it 7 here, as we're 7:12 left into the third quarter.
And I believe we have Tristan Sanchez back in there at quarterback.
Yeah, Sanchez playing quarterback for the second time today. His third possession. Back-to-back possessions in the second quarter. Hands this one off to Jones, and Jones not finding much room to run. It was Aaron Ryan's on the tackle along with number 60, Aaron Gaines. It's a loss of 2 on the play for the Scots, who are now back at midfield.
Just neither one of these offensive lines, when they try to do their running game, are able to get up to that second level because they can't get blocked those defensive ends who are doing a great job of fighting across their face and bringing them down.
Sanchez dropping back to pass. He eludes Hammond, finally gets the ball off, completes it to Jones, or Harris rather. Harris is tackled out of bounds at the 45-yard line, and we've got penalty flags all over the place here. One was called on the left sideline away from the play, right where Keontae Bankhead was standing. Wondering if maybe the coach didn't get a call against him on the play. And then very late on the right side of the field, which is where the play happened, another flag went up.
Could be unsportsmanlike on both sides, or maybe a late hit on the far side of the field.
Curious to see if perhaps the referee on the close side here by Bankhead, maybe he actually saw the play happen and was throwing the flag, just happened to be standing right next to Bankhead. But the way Bankhead was going off after the flag was thrown, I thought it might be on him, but then again, perhaps maybe he was just a little frustrated with his own team, as Bankhead is now giving some tutelage to Alton Hammond, number 5, on the play. So perhaps Hammond was one of the players called for the penalty. So Lynnwood did get a sideline warning. Bankhead was out on the field coaching his team a little bit, and that's where the referee threw the flag. The first one's a warning. The next one will be a personal foul. The other flag, though, was against Shorecrest, and that's going to push them back 15 yards. A personal foul, the last thing they needed right now as they're trying to drive the ball into scoring territory. And now they are looking at a 3rd and 22 from their own 40-yard line. Sanchez, shotgun formation. He has trips out to the left, and he looks to the left-hand side. Coming across the middle is number 11. That's Jake Oliver. Not a very big gain, however. Only picked up about 3 yards on the play as Katzenberger made the tackle, and that's going to bring up a punting situation one more time for the Scots.
A little bit too quick of a read right there by Sanchez. If you're at a 4th and 25 position, or excuse me, 3rd and 25 position, you want to get the ball downfield. Throwing a nice short little slant pattern is not going to get your guy downfield, and especially not pick up your offense for a first down.
Victor gets off a very nice punt once again. Gets a little bit of a roll at the end of it as well. It is finally down at the 17-yard line. That's a 43-yard punt. Actually, a 40-yard punt for Aubrey with no return. And that will give Lynnwood the ball at their own 17-yard line with 5:53 to go here in the third quarter. It's good to be Lynnwood. We talked about it at halftime. 34-0 lead. You might be running your win streak up to 4 games leading back to last year. School year's off to a nice start, and they just learned the other day that one of their alums, Randy Couture, the MMA fighter / actor, is going to be on Dancing with the Stars this year.
I don't know how you go from MMA fighter and well-known with that sort of technique and that sort of sport to Dancing with the Stars, but I guess it works.
Katzenberger dragged down for maybe a loss of a yard there, as that was number 53, Jake Smotherman on the tackle. Yeah, Couture, an MMA fighter, graduated, I believe, back in like 1982. He's not a young guy at this point, in his late 40s. And like you mentioned, I went from MMA fighter, I know he was in all the Expendables movies, kind of an action hero sort of a guy, and has made his way onto the Hollywood scene, and now he's going to be dancing all over our TV sets for the next, well, hopefully for a while. You never know. He could be eliminated on night number 1, but we'll see.
And I would never ask him why in person.
Cachopo throws a pass. Nice sliding attempt by number 22. That was Bobby Graham. Skipped it to him, incomplete. I don't know. Would you, if somebody asked you to go on Dancing with the Stars, would you not do it?
I don't think I'm well known enough to do that sort of thing. And that sort of thing, I mean, it's got to be difficult. I will say I've watched maybe 1 or 2 of those episodes, and that exercises and it looks grueling. I couldn't do it. No.
Yeah, I should have thought about this earlier. I wish I had a list of all the folks who are on Dancing with the Stars. I know it's always an eclectic group. It's kind of weird. I know Betsy Johnson, the designer, she's going to be on there. Lulu Jones, the athlete, is on there this year. A couple of pop singers who are much younger than me, and I have no idea who they are, or actors from Disney or whatever the heck it is. They're on there, so you've got a little bit of everything. And hey, Randy Couture, he's being teamed up with I never thought I'd be talking this much about Dancing with the Stars, but he's being teamed up with Karina Smirnoff, who's one of the legends of dancing. So he's got a good dance partner, and perhaps the Lynnwood alum having a chance to make his Royal Nation proud, and maybe bringing home the gold ball or whatever the heck it is that the trophy is called, and putting a victory up for the Lynnwood Royals this season.
Yeah, hopefully he does well. I don't know how much further I can extend this conversation with you.
This is what happens when it's 34-0 in the third quarter, Steve. We start talking Dancing with the Stars. Who knows? If we can find a few more Lynnwood alums, we might even go in different directions.
Perfect.
Cachopo drops back. It's 3rd and 5. He's looking downfield. He's looking deep. He's got Youngman open. Youngman makes the catch. He's going down the sidelines. He's got one man to beat. The 20, the 10. Touchdown, Lynnwood Royals. Lucas Youngman, 78-yard catch from Cachopo. Nice play by both quarterback and receiver. Dad Conrad, he's going nuts over here. He likes it. He's giving us a thumbs up from the booth right next door. And Lynnwood with a 40-0 lead midway through the third quarter.
Once again, Cachopo, if I can pronounce his name correctly, nice job of throwing the football down the field, and that time different than all the other touchdown passes. He led Youngman down the field towards the sideline gate, still gave him enough room to cut it up and run away for the touchdown. Great pass, giving your receiver some little bit of wiggle room to turn it upfield. Execution was perfect for Lynnwood Royals on offense on that play.
Horner puts the extra point up and through the uprights. Lynnwood 41, Shorecrest 0. Break up the Lynnwood Royals. They are for real. You are watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
People assume quality car insurance has to cost more. People assume too much. The truth is, drivers who switched to Allstate last year saved money and got better protection. So get the facts, because you know what they say about people who assume. They pay more for car insurance than you and me.
The Allstate Insurance Agency of Jeff Smar is a proud sponsor of Wesco Athletics. Located in Northwest Bothell, Jeff's office services many areas including Lynnwood, Edmonds, Bothell, and Mill Creek. Contact Jeff for a quote at 425-949-7103 or email jeffsmar@allstate.com. And Horner with the kickoff. Shanks that one off the side of his foot. It goes out of bounds. Lynnwood, 41 points. Hey, by the way, I want to mention that we just ran the Allstate ad. Thank you, Jeff Smar, for all that you do. We appreciate all of our sponsors. I know Jeff's been very active in the sports community around here. He's had a couple kids go through Edmonds Woodway High School, and he's even done a little bit of work writing up sports articles for My Edmonds News. And he's our Allstate agent, right? So, Jeff Smar, thank you very much once again. And thank you, Lynnwood Royals, for keeping this game interesting and running up and down the field, as we've got plenty of action out there from the guys in the black and gold. The Lynnwood Royals, 41-0.
And at this point in the game, with the score being so far out of reach for the Scots, just try to get something going, just kind of work on plays that you don't normally get to do against an opponent. And if you're on the Lynnwood Royals defense, just keep on doing your job and making sure everything is fine-tuned so that later on in the season you can look back and say, yeah, we did that against an opponent and it worked out perfectly.
So here we come again with the Shorecrest offense. Jones with a dive right up the middle to about the 39-yard line, a gain of 4. And boy, I'll tell you what, if you're Lynnwood, you can start looking ahead now. They play they do not play Interlake next week. That's the week after. Lynnwood going to Glacier Peak next week. A game that I'm sure many, when they looked at the schedule a couple weeks ago, thought was going to be a pushover victory for the Grizzlies. I'll tell you what, if you're the Grizzlies, you might want to think twice now. Lynnwood looking good here so far to start the season off.
And not only do they have a two-headed monster in the backfield with Katzenberger and Hammond, but now Cachopo is able to air the football out to Youngman. Even Manapond had a nice touchdown catch and run earlier in this game. So there's a lot of different elements. And then on defense, they're flying around the safeties. They have 5 turnovers in this game against the Scots, so they're doing everything right. The only thing they probably need to shore up is their kicking game, but that can be done in a week. So they're doing everything in all aspects of the game to perfection.
Osborne with a 2-yard gain on the last play. That brings up a 3rd and 4. Sanchez takes the snap, rolling out to his right, looking down the field. Finally fires it incomplete, out of bounds. And Shorecrest one more time looking at a 4th down situation. The clock now showing 3:14 to go, and oh, by the way, we are now looking at a running clock as the 40-point rule is in effect, which means that for the rest of the game, the clock will continue to run regardless to whether or not balls are thrown incomplete or if a player steps out of bounds. And in theory, that should get the game over a little bit quicker. We'll see how that goes, as we do have another game coming up here tonight, and we certainly invite people to tune in for that. The Mount Lake Terrace Hawks, who are 1-0 and started off their season with a big win against Mariner last week, taking on the Meadowdale Mavericks, another Westco 3A South game that will count in the standings. Aubrey punting this one off, gets it over the head of Hammond. It's going to take a nice Shorecrest roll and is finally down at about the 2-yard line, maybe even the 1-yard line, as number 8, Marcus Osborne, is able to jump on that ball. And hey, if Lynnwood was looking for a little bit of a challenge, they might have one now, as they're going to be back up by their own goal line.
Yeah, great effort right there by Osborne. The ball, if you would have waited probably another even half a second, would have ended up in the end zone and would have come out, and it wouldn't have been down there at about the 2-yard line. Nice job of diving onto it and making sure that it was down. And let's see what Lynnwood could do, backed up all the way, and they got 98 yards to try to go for a touchdown.
Clock showing 1:57 and counting, as it continues to run here with the 40-point rule, the mercy rule in effect. Cachopo still in the ballgame, a little bit surprised. Lynnwood looks like they suited up. I don't know, I'm just trying to do a quick head count, maybe 35 to 40 players, so they do have some bodies down there. As Katzenberger fights his way forward to about the 6-yard line. He might have picked up 3 yards on the play. And he kind of runs off a little gingerly, and that's the last thing you want to see when you're up by 41 points is any of these players getting hurt. Does appear to be okay as he gets back into the backfield, and Lynnwood going with somewhat of a hurry-up offense here with 1:17 to go in the third quarter. Cachopo eludes one tackler. That might have been a safety if they had caught him. Finally finds some running room. He goes around to the left-hand side and gets out of bounds, picks up the first down, and was tackled very late. However, there's no flag down, or there is one on the field. I'm not sure if that's what the play is or not, but Shorecrest adding insult to injury as two of their players were down on that play. Both players are up on their feet now, so that's a good sign, but Cachopo did pick up the first down. However, that flag is right along the left-hand side of the field, and it is called holding against Lynnwood, so the Cachopo first down is wiped out, and that will push Lynnwood back inside their 10-yard line once again.
You know, you were wondering why Cachopo was in the game and Katzenberger as well. Hammond just went in for him, though. But typically you get a certain amount of quarters every single week, and so once the fourth quarter rolls around, that's when typically the guys on JV are able to step into the position of the varsity player and sub one of them out. So it might be another 22 seconds that we see of Justin Cachopo tonight for being out there at quarterback.
Yeah, and the Lynnwood season is going to get very interesting here over the next few weeks as we'll look at their schedule here in just a moment. Cachopo looking for Youngman, had it go in and out of his hands, almost landed in Manapum's hands. Goes incomplete, and that should be the end of the third quarter. Lynnwood, by the way, the next 4 weeks, Glacier Peak, Interlake, Edmonds Woodway, and Meadowdale. So the three favorite teams in the Wesco 3A South Division are all their opponents in the next 4 weeks. Should get very interesting, and we have come to the end of the third quarter of play. Lynnwood continuing to dominate here at Edmonds Stadium. The Royals 41, the Scots 0. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Are you a whiz in filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
All right, and we are back again, fourth quarter. The clock is already running, and we have yet to run a play. That's the mercy rule for you. The clock now showing 11:39 to go. Lynnwood 41, Shorecrest 0. Cachopo still in the ball game. Flips it out to Alton Hammond, and Hammond finally gets pushed out of bounds, or did he? He started to go out of bounds and ended up getting blasted backwards to about the 10-yard line. Elias Taylor making the tackle for Shorecrest.
Just another pass play out to the left side for Lynnwood. Cachopo, there's a lot of congestion out in the middle of the field amongst the linebackers and the receivers making slants. So not a bad idea just to dump it off to Hammond and try to make something out of nothing, which he did, picking up about 7 yards.
Brings up a 4th and 3 coming up here. Clock now showing 11 seconds to go. That's wishful thinking if you're Shorecrest. 11 minutes to go here in the ball game. And Shorecrest, who's still looking for points. And once again, Shorecrest without anybody back to receive this punt. Trying to rush 11 guys. Very nice bounce there for Horner on the kick. And it's still rolling. It goes inside the 40 to the 39-yard line. 51-yard punt for Carson Horner on the punt. And with 10:30 to go, Shorecrest still looking for their first points of the game. Lynnwood looking for their second shutout in as many weeks. We'll see if anything's going to give on that front or if we're going to have a 41-0 final score.
Just if you're Shorecrest, just try to keep the football with you. Don't turn it over. Just I feel like kind of a broken record there, Steve, saying this throughout the game. Just try to get some sort of flow going so that next week's game you can kind of build upon that and going into the next week. Yeah, just try to get something going with your receivers, your running backs. They're bringing back Tristan Sanchez again at quarterback. So let's see if the starter can do something.
So 9:45 to go here in the ball game. Sanchez drops back to pass and is sacked, fumbles the football. Lynnwood picks it up and off to the races is Hammond. He's got one guy to beat. Touched it. No, he fumbles it as he goes into the end zone. Katzenberger jumps on it. Touchdown, Royals. Alton Hammond brought the ball all the way back to the 1 yard line, dove into the end zone, and before he crossed the line, the ball popped out of his hands. Andrew Katzenberger very wisely realized that the ball was on the turf, jumped on it, and scores his third touchdown of the ball game. 47-0 Lynnwood.
Great job by the defensive line for Lynnwood to poke the ball out of Sanchez's hands, pick it up. Hammond ran all the way back, and Katzenberger not quitting on the play just in case something happened, and it did, was able to jump on the football, and another 6 points go up for the Lynnwood Royals.
47-0. I do not know when the last time the Lynnwood Royals won a game by 47 or more. It's been a few years, I can tell you that. It's a team that lost its first 8 games of the season last year before winning their final 2. And they are 9 minutes away from matching last year's win total in just 2 weeks. Kick is up. The kick is good. Lynnwood extends the lead to 48-0. 9:27 left in this ball game. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Welcome to Northwest Best, brought to you by Smart Service Subaru. Here's your host, Mike Halsey.
We're back at the Red Onion in Mount Lake Terrace, and I'm with the owner, Sean, and the food here is absolutely terrific. The burgers are made with 100% beef, made to order with fresh ingredients. And you're involved in a lot of community projects.
Yes, Mike, we are. With the help of our loyal customers, we're able to give back to our community. Such as we take 100 kids shopping with cops and join us for our terrific Tuesday fundraisers. Join us
at Red Onion Burger.
And thank you for watching.
Well, here's something new. Lynnwood about to kick off. We are back again at Edmond Stadium. Lynnwood dominating this football game. I wish I had more adjectives to describe that. They're blowing these guys out of the water right now. 48-0. Lynnwood over Shorecrest. And fortunately for Shorecrest, they're 9.5 minutes away from having a chance to just get out of here and regroup and get ready for Sammamish next week. Oliver fielding that ball back at the 15-yard line. He's got some space and gets forward to around the 35-yard line. Oliver with a nice 20-yard return. And Shorecrest will start over from the 35.
Well, Steve, this could get, if just kind of reading the body language of Shorecrest, they kind of look a little uninterested in this football game at the moment, being down 48 points. You don't want any extracurriculars to happen after a play that someone might get hurt, or 48 points may not be the worst score that we see in this football game. If there's another turnover or something like that, and it could be a quick 3 and out. So let's see if they can kind of regroup and try to go in the right direction.
Yeah, unofficially, we now have Shorecrest at 7 turnovers for the ball game. 5 in the first half, 2 in the second half. 8:32 to go here in the fourth quarter. Sanchez pitches it to Jones. Jones finding a little bit of running room, but not much. Katzenberger sticks his shoulder in there one more time and hits Jones down to the turf. And Jones, not sure if he's got a leg injury or a cramp, but he is yet to get up either.
I think it might be a cramp.
And the way he's holding that leg, it looks like that might be the case. We're going to take another quick break right now. 8:20 to go on the clock. You're watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Jones is back up on his feet and off the field now as we're back in action here. And one more time, another fumble for Shorecrest. This time, a bad exchange between Sanchez and Pusey. Pusey, who started the game off at running back and hasn't really played much since the first quarter, is suddenly back in there and getting some action. A little bit curious about that, but at any rate, it showed there a little bit as the two had trouble exchanging the handoff there.
And I think, just throughout this entire game, it's just been kind of some sort of misconnection with Shorecrest, and especially with the quarterback center snap and then the handoff to the running backs, and then the receivers not necessarily running their right routes, ending up an interception. So they've got a lot of stuff to work on this week before they go and play. I believe they're playing at home next week.
No, they're playing Glacier Peak up at Veterans Memorial up in Snohomish. Here comes, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about Lynnwood. The ball is complete, and Shorecrest with their biggest play of the game. That's thrown down to Aubrey Victor, number 22. Victor coming up with the ball, a 33-yard gain on the play. Gets tackled at the 35. And no, you were right, Shorecrest is at home next week. I was looking at the Lynnwood schedule. Shorecrest going home to play Sammamish next week, a 2A school, so we'll see if they can maybe get a victory in that game. And then the week after that, they get Shorewood at the stadium, a big rivalry game. Going deep one more time, and we're going to get a pass interference call as number 3, Race Treat, threw on the brakes. And Michael Dappas, number 23, making contact with him, and Shorecrest finally figuring out how to move this ball downfield a little bit as they are still looking for their first points of the game with 6:12 to go.
Dappas, the corner, had no idea where the football was, decided just to watch the eyes of Street out there kind of on that island. And right when Street stopped, as you mentioned, Dappas kept on going, making contact with the receiver, and that's an easy pass interference penalty for the referee to call.
So the game gets a little bit more interesting. We've got a little bit of drama left. We've got really two things on the table right now. Number one, does Shorecrest prevent the shutout? And number two, who's our Red Onion player of the game going to be, and who are we going to interview after the game? Stay tuned to find out who that is.
Well, whenever Shorecrest gets the ball down here on this side of the field and as close to the end zone as they are, usually there's a turnover, but it looks like the runner is going to pick up a nice little gain.
That's Pusey one more time running out to the left. Gets tackled at the 17-yard line, a gain of about 3. We've got a few candidates for Red Onion Burger player of the game. We're not going to mention who we've got yet as it's still open, but Cachopo's in there, Katzenberger, Richard Trung's had himself a nice game. We've seen Hammond's made a few plays. Youngman's made a few nice catches and has close to 100 yards receiving. And Sanchez just gets rid of that one, and I think they're going to maybe call a grounding there. As we mentioned Youngman by name, Youngman applying the pressure. I think Youngman thinks that penalty's on him. I don't think it's going to be, though. I think it might be grounding.
I don't know if he got a face mask in there. That's the only possible thing I could see. He didn't bring the quarterback down to the ground, so either intentional grounding or maybe intentional grounding.
And now Youngman feels better about it as he was a little frustrated at the ref at first. He saw that flag thrown in his direction and assumed it was on him. That was a nice play by Youngman. He just forced Sanchez into getting rid of that ball with nowhere to go with it, and pushes Shorecrest back 15 yards and brings up a third. And I guess that is, looks like it's about 3rd and 26 right now. And Sanchez tries to throw the ball. His hand gets hit. He fumbles it. A scramble for the ball right now. And number 50, Harris Kutek making it. No, or was that number 60? That was number 60, rather. 50 and 60 look very similar in numbers. That's Aaron Gaines hitting Sanchez and then also trying to leap onto the football after it hit the ground. Sanchez was able to come up with it, however. It's going to bring up a 4th and 29 yards here for Shorecrest with about 3:50 to go in this ball game. And if you're Shorecrest, you've got nothing to lose at this point. You might as well just keep the offense on the field, throw the ball deep, hope for a completion or maybe a pass interference, and see what you can do.
You still have 2 receivers out there that are 6'1" and 6'3", so try to get the football up in their general area and see if they can pull it down and make a play.
2 receivers on both sides. Sanchez dropping back, and Gaines wraps him up. The second time in a row that Gaines comes in and gets to the quarterback. Puts Sanchez down at the 49-yard line. A turnover for the Royals, and they will take over now with 3:14 to go in the ballgame.
It's a nice job of feeling the pressure by Sanchez as the defensive ends going upfield, stepping up in the pocket. But when he stepped up, he stepped to the right, and that's where Gaines was coming out of him and just swallowed him up for a sack. And it's going to be a turnover on down. Football going back to the Royals.
2:55 showing on the clock. It is a running clock at this point. Lynnwood had a 34-0 lead at the half, has since scored 14 more points.
Alton Hammond in there at quarterback.
Yeah, Hammond, a little bit of a wildcat formation is Cachopo. This will be the first time in this ballgame he has not taken a snap. Seeing a lot of substitutions right now from the Royals as an entirely new receiving core. Got number 80 in there right now. That's Antonio Samuel, the junior, getting his first action of the night. Lawton Manapum, who's had a couple nice catches tonight but hasn't seen as many snaps as other receivers. He's in there right now. Richard Trunn started to come onto the field before he's waved off. Number 10, Clarence Asika, the junior, also getting his first action of the night.
That's one of the best things that a starter can know is that you've done everything you possibly can to make sure that the scout guys who don't normally typically get recognition or any of the glory on Friday nights can step in and play a football game on the varsity level.
Hammond handing off to Dapis on the play. Dapis just running it up the middle. Picked up about 2 yards on the play. Brings up a 2nd and 13 as the clock continues to run here with 1:38 to go. And again, we want to remind you to stay tuned after the game as we will interview one of these Lynnwood Royal players and anoint him our Red Onion Burgers Player of the Game. Hey, this year you get a T-shirt with that as well. So
yes, sir.
Get yourself in front of the camera here with the helmet off for once. Usually if that's happening on a football field, it's for bad reasons, but up here it's a good thing. And you get a T-shirt. Dapis takes the pitch, starts to go to his left, finds room on the right. He finds a lot of room. He's got one man to beat if he can get by number 3. Gets pushed at the 10 and lunges himself into the end zone. 56-yard touchdown. Michael Dapis getting on the board for the first time tonight from an individual standpoint, and that gives Lynnwood their 54th point of the ball game. And the route continues to get worse and worse for the Shorecrest Scots.
Katzenberger, when he's out there running back, that's a lot of power and speed. When Dapis is in there, it is all pure speed. Ran off to the left side, saw nothing was there, a lot of congestion, bounced it back to the right, had the only guy for Shorecrest in his way, possibly that would get him, is Race Treat. And once he got past him, it was all him for about another 8 yards until he ultimately got in the end zone. A great job of running to the left, cutting it back to the right, and using his speed to run all the way for a touchdown.
Got a personal foul called against one of the teams after the play. They call that against Lynnwood. However, it's after the touchdown, so the touchdown does stand.
The receiver on the near side of the field kept blocking all the way throughout the progression of the play, and even when Dapis was in the end zone. So he just probably had his back towards the play and didn't see anything, but it was great blocking on the corner.
So Lynnwood 54, Shorecrest 0. If you're keeping totals at home for the first 2 games of the year now, Lynnwood outscoring their opponents 60-0. Could be 61 after this Horner extra point attempt. And Lynnwood 64 seconds away from possibly their second shutout of the season. The kick is up. The kick is good. We'll take a quick break right now and come back and wrap this game up and get to our player of the game. Lynnwood 55, Shorecrest 0. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
People assume quality car insurance has to cost more. People assume too much. The truth is, drivers who switched to Allstate last year saved money and got better protection. So get the facts, because you know what they say about people who assume. They pay more for car insurance than you and me.
The Allstate Insurance Agency of Jeff Smar is a proud sponsor of Wesco Athletics. Located in Northwest Bothell, Jeff's office services many areas including Lynnwood, Edmonds, Bothell, and Mill Creek. Contact Jeff for a quote at 425-949-0000. 7103 or email jeffsmar@allstate.com. And we are back again, 55-0. The Lynnwood Royals over the Shorecrest Scots. Steve Willits along with Steve McGrain. 64 seconds away from this one finally being over.
Just a dominating performance by Lynnwood, getting turnovers when they're on defense, getting tackles for loss, and then when they flip around to the offensive side, Cachopo having a fantastic game. Katzenberger, special teams, all facets of the game. Lynnwood was just spectacular tonight.
Here we go, ball fielded at the 30-yard line. Finding a little bit of room up the middle and still running. Is the shutout in jeopardy? Not quite yet, as getting down to the Lynnwood 34-yard line is the returner. That's number 21, Nick Kinkop on the play. Again, running clock right now, so if you're Shorecrest, you might want to hurry up a little bit. There's 41 seconds to go in this ball game. You're 34 yards away from pay dirt. Why not try to score?
I don't even know if they're going to even try to run a play here. You got the quarterback still over there. We have a new one in, Jake Oliver, I believe. Or is it Jack Koss?
Might be Jack Koss coming on, number 12, yeah. Koss is coming in. Clock now showing 22 seconds, and I don't know if these guys even realize that clock is running. If I'm Koss and I'm getting my first snap of the game, I want to get a play off into the air and throw it downfield. 12 seconds and counting right now. 8 seconds. Let's see if they get the snap off. 5, 4, 3. They do, in fact, get up, and it's a handoff up the middle. Kapkoff, who returned that last ball, runs up the middle, gets tackled at the 26-yard line, and the game is finally over. Your final score tonight, the Lynnwood Royals 55, the Shorecrest Scots 0. Royals improving to 2-0 on the season, 1-0 in conference play. Shorecrest dropping to 0-2.
Just a rough game from Shorecrest. Center to quarterback snaps were off target. The passing game, there's a lot of congestion in the middle, try to force a lot of footballs, and then a lot of fumbles, a lot of turnovers that brought them back early on in this football game. And after that, Lynnwood was able to utilize those opportunities, turn them into points, and they ran away very early on with this second game of the year.
Yeah, Lynnwood looking very good. Hey, wanted to take another moment to remind you, this is game one of a doubleheader. The Mount Lake Terrace Hawks and the Meadowdale Mavericks coming up in about a half hour, so be sure to tune back in and maybe a little bit after 8 o'clock as they need a little bit of time to warm up to watch that game. Another Wesco 3A South matchup. But we don't want you tuning out yet because we're going to give you the player of the game here in just a minute and try to run down some stats here if we can get those updated. But again, your final score, Lynnwood 55, Shorecrest 0, and a tradition that we saw started last week. The Lynnwood Royals football team heading over towards their student body section and doing a little chant that one of the assistant coaches introduced to them. Players are all gathering themselves up here right now as I think they've had a little bit of time now to teach the students the chant as well. As the students are coming down, players are going up over against the fence, and if we can get that on camera, hopefully we can have somebody swinging over there. Can maybe catch this in just a moment. And we're going to do the I believe that we have won chant. It's a little bit different than what we had last week, but at the same time, it is still a chant nonetheless. Hi. As Angelo Camo is getting that camera set up for us. I think we just missed it, but a fun and festive atmosphere as the Lynnwood Royals have won their second game of the year already, matching their win total for all of last season. And Steve, if you're a Royal fan, you got to like the fact that it was distributed well amongst a lot of players. A handful of players scoring touchdowns tonight.
Yeah, we had 2 touchdown passes by Cachopo, or 3 by Cachopo, 2 to Youngman, and then 1 to Manapon. And then we saw it even at halftime. He had 5 different receivers that he targeted and made a completion with. So if you're able to spread the football around in the wealth, the defense, especially in the secondary and linebackers, if they don't know where the football is going to go, makes it that much easier for Cachopo and this offense to move downfield. And then, I mean, Katzenberger, if you just say his name as a running back, you know what he does. He's going to give you those tough yards after contact, and continually go downfield. So they have a lot of things and a lot of distributors that they can put the football in their hands, and they're going to make good plays out of it.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, the Red Onion Burger post-game show. You are watching the Sound Alive Sports Network.
Welcome to Northwest Best, brought to you by Smart Service Subaru. Here's your host, Mike Halsey.
We're back at the Red Onion in Mount Lake Terrace, and I'm with the owner, Sean, and the food here is absolutely terrific. The burgers are made with 100% beef, made to order with fresh ingredients. And you're involved in a lot of community projects.
Yes, Mike, we are. With the help of our loyal customers, we're able to give back to our community. Such as we take 100 kids shopping with cops and join us for our terrific Tuesday fundraisers. Join us
at Red Onion Burger.
And thank you for watching.
People assume quality car insurance has to cost more. People assume too much. The truth is, drivers who switched to Allstate last year saved money and got better protection. So get the facts, because you know what they say about people who assume. They pay more for car insurance than you and me.
The Allstate Insurance Agency of Jeff Smar is a proud sponsor of Wesco Athletics. Located in Northwest Bothell, Jeff's office services many areas including Lynnwood, Edmonds, Bothell, and Mill Creek. Contact Jeff for a quote at 425-949-7103 or email jeffsmar@allstate.com.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Are you a whiz in filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
Once again, our final score, Lynnwood 55, Shorecrest 0. I'd like to thank Shoreline Community College once again for being our in-game sponsor. Steve McGrain, great job today. Always interesting when you got a 55-0 ball game to broadcast, right?
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you everything you did here, and we'll get you back on here next week, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it. I believe it's Meadowdale and Edmonds Woodway.
That's the Jam the Stands game next week, as
yes,
well
sir.
as the game before that, which is Mount Lake Terrace and Shorewood. So we'll see you for the 8 o'clock game. And thank you again for the broadcast.
Yeah, not a problem.
We'll be signing off right now. And our player of the game just walked up, so let me get him on his headsets here real quick. Hope you throw that on there. We'll switch the camera over here in just a moment as well. And we are ready to go. We're right there on camera. And on cue, Andrew Katzenberger joins us. Andrew, 3 touchdowns today. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice win.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your scores for a moment there. First of all, the second play of the game, you guys are at your own 20-yard line. It's 2nd and 11.
Yeah.
Take us through that play.
Oh, it was beautiful blocking. I just hit the hole, kicked the linebacker in, and there was just a huge gap, so I just hit it.
Did you know as soon as you saw the open space you were going to the distance?
Yeah.
So,
I knew it.
So you got that touchdown, a shorter distance to go in your second touchdown, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the third touchdown was kind of an interesting one. It was a defensive play. Hammond picks up the ball. I assume you're just kind of running behind him, just ready to kind of congratulate him in the end zone, right? And then all of a sudden the ball's on the ground.
Yeah, I just saw the ball on the ground, so I hit the guy out of the way and just tried to jump on it. I got it.
So 3 touchdowns. Is that your first 3 touchdown game at the varsity level?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
That's good that you have to think about that. That means you've had a nice career. Hey, one thing about your career, you've never started off 2-0 before.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Last year, you guys lost your first 8 games of the season.
Yeah.
Now you guys are 2-0, and you've got some momentum going right now. What's the attitude been like in the locker room? Can you just sense that there's more of a winning spirit right now with this team?
Yeah, we're so motivated. We're tired of losing, and we're just ready to win. We have the team, we have the players, and we're just going to keep pushing.
And big game next week against Glacier Peak. Are you guys ready for the Grizzlies?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So, hey, we want to mention also to you, I should ask you, too, playing offense a little bit with Cachopo and those guys and seeing him spread the ball out. If it's not you, it's Youngman or it's some of the other guys there. Yeah. You guys are well-balanced on offense right now, aren't you?
Yeah, we got great playmakers on offense, speed and everything. They're good.
And as a defensive player, what does the shutout mean to you?
Everything. This is my second shutout in my high school career, and the other one was last week. So
2 weeks in a row, you guys
Yes,
have
sir.
yet to give up a point all season long, and because of that, you are our Red Onion Burger Player of the Game. So
Thank
we're going to
you.
get you to pose with that shirt there. Matter of fact, we're going to get a camera out here for you in just a moment so we can get that up over the internet. But again, when you score 3 touchdowns, you rush for an 80-yard touchdown. 10 tackles in the game, by the way. You get to be the Red Onion Player of the Game. And we got the photo there. So, Andrew, again,
Thank you so
go celebrate
much.
this one. Congratulations to you guys on your second shutout.
Thank you.
Continued success for the Royals.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So, Andrew Katzenberger, 3 touchdowns, rushes for over 90 yards, 10 tackles, 1 defensive touchdown, second shutout of the year. And, boy, the Royals are looking really good right now, outscoring their opponents in their first 2 games 61-0. I'd like to thank Red Onion Burger again for being the sponsor of our post game this year. And while we're at it, hey, Red Onion Burgers, we hope people are back there watching right now. Red Onion is going to start broadcasting, or starting tonight, they are broadcasting all of our games that we put on from the Sound Live Sports Network from Edmond Stadium. So Red Onion Burgers over there on 212th and 44th in Mount Lake Terrace. By the way, the best milkshakes around. I'll just say that since I had one on Tuesday. We appreciate your sponsorship. We appreciate your support. Thank you, Sean Richards and your staff, for doing what you're doing with us. We're going to take we're not going to take a break. We're going to sign off right now before we come back onto the air. As once again, Meadowdale versus Mount Lake Terrace, about 20 minutes away. But the first game tonight is a final. The Lynnwood Royals running their record to 2-0 with a convincing 55-0 victory over the Shorecrest Scots. For Steve McGrain, for Angelo Camo, Teresa Whipple, all of the students involved with us, my name is Steve Willits. Appreciate you guys watching us. Have a great night, and hopefully we see some of you back in a few minutes for Mount Lake Terrace versus Meadowdale.